The United Nations boss makes a case for Caribbean countries to get concessional loans. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, October 10th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is on the side of Caribbean countries who've been arguing that they've been deprived of funding on the basis of being considered middle income. He says some special consideration should be given to those states which are vulnerable despite their categorization. Among them are hurricane-battered Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda, which Guterres visited over the weekend. Category 5 hurricanes Irma and Maria severely damaged those countries, leaving estimated damage of billions of dollars. The UN chief noted that, in fact, most of the countries impacted by the monster hurricanes are deprived of the assistance or concessional loans that low-income countries can have access to.
The fact is that even if these countries have graduated as middle-income countries, they have a number of vulnerabilities that need to be taken into account if we want them to be sustainable as middle-income countries. And so, when these countries are facing external shocks of the magnitude of the ones that we are witnessing, it is absolutely crucial that they benefit from innovative forms of funding and from assistance, concessional loans, new bonds, and one of the ideas that our Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean has expressed is the possibility to transform the repayments of debt in investments made by the countries to build resilience in relation to storms.
Guterres made the comments 2 weeks after Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown argued a case for small, vulnerable states before the UN General Assembly. Brown, a former banker, told the UN there was no justice in large, wealthy countries borrowing at a favorable 3% annum rate, while so-called high-income small island states are forced to borrow commercially at 12% per annum. He has reiterated his position that the per capita income criteria must be reviewed.
I want to make the call again for the issue of per capita income, that criterion, that nonsensical criterion, to be scrapped. It is an impediment to growth and development in small island states. It precludes us from much needed developmental financing to include ODA assistance as well as concessional loans. Even though we have these challenges to deal with, to borrow to rebuild infrastructure that is repeatedly damaged by storms, and even public institutions that are damaged by these storms, we have to borrow at commercial rates at 10%, because the capital markets in the region are not well developed and not large enough to do loans at 2% or 3%. So when we are precluded on the basis that we are middle income or high income countries from ODA assistance, from concessional loans, it also retards our development.
And life in St. Martin is slowly returning to normal following the passage of Hurricane Irma early last month. In this special report from our partners over at France Curie broadcast, we hear what progress has been made so far and as well about some of the challenges the country is still facing.
In this district, the teams of EDF, Électricité de France, the teams are at work.
There was a meter there, but the meter is damaged, and it's absolutely necessary to bring back the electricity in this house. So we check before anything if there is a connection inside, and we send directly for them.
On the island, the water is managed to the drops account. For Kelly, it is a real headache.
We have to fetch 5 buckets of water every day.
A glimmer of hope, electricity restored in its neighborhood allows the purchase of frozen products. The shelves of the fresh and ultra-fresh products of the only hypermarket open in the French zone remains desperately empty.
All dairy products we have not yet, and apparently it will be the next week.
Dry products and preserves are not lacking. Shopping is again possible, at least for those who have the financial means. Here in Marigot, this association that usually receives homeless people has been transformed into a place of distribution of foodstuffs for the most needy people. Sherry came to look for food to feed his family. Yet she works, but her salary for the month of August has not yet arrived on her bank account.
That is my paycheck since September 4 that I cannot deposit in the bank. By what there is nothing open until now.
2 children have not yet returned to school, but she feels lucky because she has a roof over her head. In Saint-Martin, the greenery has resumed its marks in the landscape. The men that tried to resume a normal life that before the September 5th, 2017.
Haiti's opposition parties on Tuesday announced the start of 4 days of demonstrations as they call for President Jovenel Moïse to step down from office less than a year after he was sworn in. One of the spokespersons for the opposition coalition, Michel André, says protests will also take place on Thursday, Saturday and next Tuesday. The parties not only want Moïse to go, but are also calling for the immediate and unconditional release of demonstrators who were arrested and held at the National Penitentiary. They're calling them political prisoners. Members of the opposition parties, including several legislators, last weekend visited at least 40 demonstrators who were detained by police following a day of protest against the government's 2018 national budget. There have been several demonstrations against those measures, which have been approved by both houses of Parliament. Meantime, there's unrest of another kind in Haiti that has thrown the judicial system there into a tailspin. Magistrates on Monday heeded a call to begin a 5-day work stoppage to push for better working conditions. The action follows through on a threat that unless a memorandum of understanding on addressing the magistrates' issues, such as getting new premises, a budget increase and health insurance coverage was signed last Friday, a strike would begin this week. President of the Professional Association of Magistrates, Wando St. Villiers, said Justice Minister Jude Alex Patrice Solomon failed to turn up for a meeting last Thursday when the MOU was to be signed, and he didn't give any explanation for his absence. The work stoppage is also to protest what the magistrates say is the minister's disrespect. Guyana's Finance Minister Winston Jordan is promising citizens they won't be burdened with any new taxes when the 2018 budget is unveiled next month. He says empowering people to be their own bosses and fulfilling outstanding commitments will instead be the focus.
No new taxes in this budget. Anything in this budget is about cleaning up or providing an incentive or two as promised. We promise some sectors that we will see how we can support them in this renewal, right? Especially in the forestry area. So we'll be looking at how we can support that sector. And there's some other promises or so that we might have made that we want to see whether in this budget we can provide that.
One of the budget measures that was widely rejected was the imposition of value-added tax on private tuition. Minister Jordan says that tax is up for a review. He said the 2018 budget will be a people's budget.
Our focus in the budget now is to make people their own boss. So we are getting increasingly putting more and more resources, right? More and more resources that aim to increase the skill pool.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, Grenada's public sector union and the government at odds. The details of that story and more after the break.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Welcome to the 2016 Caribbean Broadcasting Awards, live from the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
Welcome back, and we continue in Grenada, where the Public Workers Union says government is using the divide and conquer strategy to undermine unions. It says proof of that can be seen in the recent emphasis placed on teachers while leaving out other public sector workers. We get more in this GBN News report.
The Public Workers Union says much emphasis is being placed on the regularization of teachers, while other public servants within the sector, especially those under the union, continue to suffer. According to the union's president, Rachel Roberts, there are people within the sector who have been acting for a number of years and are yet to receive a permanent placement. Roberts says the unions are strong and united and will not allow the government to put them against each other. However, she would like their employer to be fair and just when dealing with its workers.
So we call for the regularization of public officers just as they are regularizing our brothers and sisters. We know that we have been on the table for regularization, something which we should not be on the table for. Since 2016 November, we wrote to the government of Grenada speaking about regularization for public officers. And as you know, at that time, we were on the table for what we call agency appointment because we said that was illegal. And it is still happening today, to agency appointments. So we are calling on our government. All our contract officers, we want them to be regularized. All persons who are acting, and acting is something that we should not be on the table for.
According to Roberts, the public service rules and regulations openly condemn the actions of the government as it relates to officers acting for more than 2 years.
Because our public service rules and regulations clearly speaks to acting appointment, that if you are acting for 2 years, you should automatically be confirmed in the position. It means that you become permanent in the position. The position becomes yours. And it also speaks to the fact of temporary officers. Once you are in a vacant position, it also becomes yours. Acting in vacant position, temporary in vacant position. So these are not things that we believe we should be on the table to be negotiating with government for.
Roberts says they were called name when asked about the appointment of workers. She is making a call to public officers to be vigilant.
We were told that we were crazy, we were mad to ask for the appointment of contract officers. But we are not crazy and mad. You are unjust and unfair to public officers. And we say, public officers, listen. See what the policies of this government is doing to us as public officers. They are implementing many unjust and unfair laws.
Well, over in Barbados, opposition leader Mia Mottley is accusing the Frundle Stewart administration of playing political football with the welfare of that island's public servants. She said Stewart was purposely withholding a pay increase demanded by the island's major trade unions, the National Union of Public Workers, the Barbados Workers Union, the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, and the Barbados Union of Teachers. The call for increases or a coping mechanism followed the announcement earlier this year of the increase of the National Social Responsibility Levy, the NSRL, from 2 to 10%. The Prime Minister had said he wanted the unions to give the levy a chance to see how it performed in the first quarter ending September 30th. But after that time had passed and Minister of Finance Chris Sinclair reported that the tax had performed better than expected, earning $50 million during the first 3 months, the unions called on Stewart to fulfill his commitment. But the Prime Minister has said he is not in a position to speak on the Finance Minister's announcement. Motley said the Democratic Labour Party government is holding back on a decision until the eve of the next general election.
And based on Chris Sinclair's attitude in Parliament on Tuesday, Kerry, he is well happy with the take. And if he is happy with the take, then they must be prepared, not on the eve of an election, not on the eve of calling the election, because, Prime Minister, we are already in that zone. 20 weeks left and the Parliament is dissolved. So don't keep people waiting anymore because you want to extract the ultimate political bounty from announcing a pay increase close to the time that you announce an election. The people of Barbados deserve better, and the public servants have waited too long, and it is now that they must get that ease, because people, I tell you, I see it every day, people cannot make ends meet in this country. The sufferation is too much. It is too much. And I ask the Prime Minister now, fight me in the battlefields as you will, but leave the public servants out of this and give the public servants the pay increase or the coping subsidy that they deserve.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies skipper assures his side won't be slackening up for the upcoming Zimbabwe series. We'll be right back.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
And you're right on point. You're right on point, because once we discover what is our real identity, not just simply human beings attempting to become spiritual, but spiritual beings who are practicing to become human, and we find out what that purpose is in having been born, not unto ourselves, not for a very narcissistic or self-centered purpose, but in reality living for the sake of others, that we leave a mark.
Continuing with sports now, West Indies captain Jason Holder doesn't expect any let-up in intensity from his side when they take on minnows Zimbabwe in 2 tests later this month. The Caribbean side left the island on Monday for the test, which will see them chasing their first series since they beat Bangladesh in a similar 2-test series in the region 3 years ago. Holder said the Zimbabwe encounters presented an ideal opportunity for the Windies to continue the progress they've been making. He said, quote, "It won't be difficult to motivate the guys. We're a young side. After the performances we've had in England and earlier in the year against Pakistan, and also in the back end of last year against Pakistan again, I think it is encouraging, and we have to keep heading in the direction we're going." End quote. West Indies have never lost to Zimbabwe in 8 previous meetings, winning 6 times and drawing twice. But even though the African nation is without a test win in 9 outings in the last 4 years, Holder said the Windies would be professional in their approach and take nothing for granted. West Indies opened their tour with a 3-day match starting next Sunday before the first test at Queen's Sports Club, which bowls off on October 21st. And we stay with cricket. A young Trinidad and Tobago Red Force team is gearing up for the regional 4-day tournament set to bowl off October 26th against Barbados at Kensington Oval. They've begun preparations with practice matches with the aim of ending a decade-old title drought. In this report from TV6's Vinod Narwani, head coach Calvin Williams says he's pleased so far with the team's preparations.
Trial match between Imran Khan's 11 and the Marlon Richards 11, which ended in a draw on Saturday, has given new TNT coach Calvin Williams something to cheer about. After Khan's 11 made 406 all out, the Richards 11 replied with 262 for 9 before rains prevented further play.
All right, I think we start our preparation about the 19th of September. I think the preparation so far going quite well. First innings, Imran Khan's team scored 407 runs, which for a long time in trial matches we haven't get these scores before. So it was fantastic to see guys getting runs. Unfortunately, no one didn't go on and scored 100, but we have guys who scored 98, one scored 91, so it's quite good. A lot of 40s in there.
Coach Williams is also pleased that the performances of the younger players have borne some fruit, and he's hoping they can do the same during the new season.
I thought they finished well last year. The last 2 games that they played last year, they won both of them with a very young team. So again, these guys are guys who actually putting their hands up right now and be counted for.
The practice sessions and trial matches are being conducted to select the TNT squad for the 2017-2018 regional 4-day tournament. Team Red Force and host Barbados meet in the first game on October 26th.
And still in the Twin Island Republic, where senior men's football team is getting set to take on the United States Tuesday evening, despite the threat of rain in what is their final match in the hexagonal stage of the World Cup qualifier. The Caribbean side is already out of contention for a spot in the finals. Head coach Dennis Lawrence says they intend to go all out for a win against the Americans and are targeting key players, especially the dangerous midfielder Christian Pulisic.
Key to what the US are trying to do, and he's one that you obviously have to pay attention to. If you look at the goal scoring ratio, I think he's covered most of the goals, him and Jose Altidore. So those are key players that we need to make sure and pay attention to. Obviously you got Bradley, who handles the ball well for them, he makes the team sick, but Christian Pulisic, obviously you have to pay particular attention to him, and we're going to try as best as we can to try and manage him to make sure we can keep him out of the danger areas on the football pitch. But it's going to be a job that we're going to have to be more than ready for, because he's the heartbeat of the US team at the moment, and we have to be well prepared for it.
And over to the shooting range, a dozen nations are celebrating the 150th anniversary with Guyana's National Rifle Association, which is hosting the West Indies Full Bore Shooting Council Caribbean Championships. Isan Griffith of Capital Sports tells us more.
Commenced with the hoisting of the flags of the 12 countries in attendance and the welcome remarks from President of the Guyana National Rifle Association, Army Chief Patrick West, who declared the championship open following the final of the first shot. According to West, Guyana hosting of the championship is a great achievement.
I believe, well, this is words cannot explain, but this is a milestone event for the Guyana National Rifle Association. As I did indicate to you, we started shooting in the 18th century, and then we evolved again, and now we are the GNRA. And I think as we celebrate 150, this competition here puts us in a position where we are showing, the rest of the world is showing us that, yes, we are celebrating with you, we're rejoicing with you, and we respect your efforts and achievements over the years.
The tournament has attracted shooters from UK, Canada, Ireland, along with several Caribbean countries. Jamaica pulled out of the championship due to several reasons at the last minute of the games. Barbados finished third in the last tournament, but hoped to improve at the championship. Team captain Richard Otter spoke to us.
We have not been training a lot in Barbados because of lack of ammunition, but we came here yesterday and we did air practice, and to me it was well done. The guys are ready, coming off of last year's position in Antigua. We placed third last year in Antigua, and we expect this year to better that.
Thomas Greenidge from Antigua and Barbuda said his team has been preparing for months now for this championship. The West Indies.
So we're pretty much prepared. This is our third visit to Guyana to compete in the Guyana Rifle Association or West Indies Football Shooting Council shoot. So far, so good. We had a pretty good practice yesterday. The team is short about 2 members, but the representation that's here is a pretty good representation. So we have no doubt that we'll do pretty well in the individuals.
The West Indies Football is celebrating 150 years of international championships.
CEO of Grenada's Tourism Association, Patricia Meyer, says the GTA remains very committed to the success of the Grenada Invitational, and it's looking forward to the 2018 edition next April. She was speaking at the margins of the State of the Tourism Industry Conference, SOTIC, which opened in Grenada on Monday. Meyer says the GTA's commitment was manifested in its involvement at the planning level with representation on the local organizing committee.
At the Grenada Tourism Authority, sports tourism is very important to us, and that's the reason why we were very helpful with the Grenada Invitational this April, the first inaugural Grenada Invitational. We had a member of our team on the committee preparing for the Invitational, and we were heavily involved in the whole event, its success for Grenada, because getting out there on ESPN all over the world, you know, was priceless marketing for the island. So we're very encouraging of sports tourism. We're looking forward to the next Invitational next year.
And finally, Dominica's national volleyball team has overcome the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria to participate in the 2018 FIVB World Championship Group C qualifying tournament set to be staged in Port of Spain this week. Mushtaq Mohammed, president of the Caribbean Zonal Volleyball Association, confirmed the attendance of the 13-member contingent for the October 13 to 14 tournament at the National Cycling Center. According to The Guardian, Mohammed praised the tenacity of the Dominicans in attending the tournament in spite of the devastation in the country and promised the associations and Norseca's help. And that's sport. We'll be right back.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
A recap of the major developments of this day. The United Nations boss makes a case for Caribbean countries to get concessional funding. And in sport, West Indies skipper Jason Holder assures his side won't be slackening up when they take on Minnows Zimbabwe in 2 tests later this month. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, log on to CanaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.